Howdy. Don't mean to startle anyone. Welcome back. Sunday show. You know that thing we do every single week. I'd like to welcome everyone to our pre-show. You may have noticed we made some adjustments to our pre-roll. Those of you who are paying attention, you'll see some changes. While I'm at it, let's make some things a little bit resized, because I actually didn't get in here and play with any of this. Now that we have a little more space to work with. There we go. Cool. That looks good. I'll accept that. So hello to everyone out there. I see some new faces and some repeat faces. Mr. Exquisite, welcome to our channel. Thank you for joining one of our live shows for the first time. I'd love to know what encouraged you to jump in for a live, because I know there's a bunch of people who watch these replays throughout the week, and I'm always curious why somebody will come check out the live for the first time ever. Ocean Wave 603, good to see you again. I think this is 3 weeks in a row. Happy to see you back again. I've seen some of your comments on some other videos, and I don't go out of my way to find other people's videos, but every now and then people will send me something and say, Jay, we need to have a talk about this video, like what's going on, and I see comments on them, and I saw you in it. So good to see you here, though. Happy to have you by. Evening to you, Pam and Richard. Thank you again to my admins for helping out. I believe Mindy's going to be missing tonight. She's got some wedding affair stuff to handle as well. And you're very welcome, Mr. Exquisite. CatCon. Hey, Jay. Finally made it back this week. Happy to have you back. Definitely we got to catch up sometime here soon. Future Fortunes, good evening all. That's a great shirt, Jay. You know what's crazy? I was doing some cleaning inside my closet, and I found this one. I bought this shirt at the same time I had started getting that wave of other shirts, and I just never pulled it out of the package. So it was pressed incorrectly, so there's this really hard, upsetting crease, and I said, yeah, whatever, I'll wear it. I'm not gonna get it pressed just because of that. I'll wait. But thank you, Future Fortunes. Good to see you here again, as always. Julianne, sounds like you got your voice back. Believe it or not, I am 95% recovered. The rest of the recovery is going to take quite a bit of time. And once I get through these comments, I planned on actually talking about what happened to me, because it's quite a story before the show starts, because it's a little bit off topic. I don't think people want to hear about me talking about my sickness for 10 days. Anne-Marie, thanks for dropping in. It was good talking with you earlier. I like some of the ideas that you were throwing around earlier as well. And me and Richard talked a little bit further about it too. But yeah, no, I love seeing people take that next step when it comes to creating content. It's always great. Thanks. I watch many. Yep. Yeah. I always tell people, just be privy of the advice you get. Just do what's best for your brand, whether that's my show or another. Just always be mindful and be careful. I'm usually prepping for the next day, doing bookkeeping, etc. Yeah, no, I understand that. There's with this type of work, there's a never-ending list of things that we can do to fill our day up. One small thing to the next. My late friend Chucky always said you can fill an entire day with small things, and it's, as a reseller, I really, really feel that resonates with a lot of us. Thank you for the compliment, CatCon, on the shirt. We want to hear about it. So, let me tell you what happened. So, for some reason or another, I thought that eating some beef jerky with cheese in a prepackaged form by the good people of Jack Links would be a good idea on the night of September 30th. And I remember this because there might be some legal action involved here, but because they bounced me around to their legal department after this whole thing went down. But I ate it, and I became violently ill, exceptionally ill. I ended up getting food poisoning or some variant of it, and I was up for over 3.5, maybe 4 hours, just puking, and it was horrendous. And I had some of the worst vertigo I ever had in my entire life. Well, during that process, I did some pretty good damage to my esophagus, because I haven't had acid reflux issues pretty much my entire life. So when that happened, I was so far out of it, I wasn't conscious about drinking water or anything, and I burned up my throat pretty good. And because of that, my weakened immune state, I ended up catching a bacterial infection after that, and I resided in my throat. And I'm on a round of antibiotics now, amoxicillin, 3 times a day, 500 milligrams. So obviously that's done some havoc to my stomach as well. And then during that process, I managed to catch a sickness as well. So I had the infection, the sickness, and I either have some lingering damage to my throat still, or I have a canker sore deep down in my throat. And if you guys don't know what that is, it's if you've ever bit the side of your cheek or something, or bit into something hard and scraped up your gums or scraped up your cheek, you can get essentially like an open wound. And I have one of those right on the inside of my throat. And day one, I was having difficulty drinking water. It was intensely painful to drink water. And I would probably say as of today, I'm 95% recovered, but I do have water here. I think I have enough to get me through this show. But even as I talk to you now, I can still feel the gentle scratch on the side. I actually have aloe sensitivities as well, so thank you for that, Jane. So I have, if I get aloe on my skin, it turns red, so I would never even try drinking it. I don't know if it's like an allergy per se or more of a sensitivity, but it's been a pretty challenging experience over the last week. I was actually bedridden for 6 days straight. I could not function. I was sleeping and medicated and really, really out of it, and even went to the doctor to get this diagnosis, and I haven't been to an actual doctor in probably 10 or 12 years. So that's what caused last week's show not to happen. It was really, really bad. Probably one of the worst medical experiences I've had since I had kidney stones maybe 6 or 7 years ago. It was really, really challenging. Did anyone do roll call? We're missing a lot of people right now. I'd love to know where everyone's at. I only got 18 people coming in. This is an important show. You know what it is? It's probably because I didn't put an event thing on Facebook because I didn't think it was necessary still, but maybe some people need those reminders. But yeah, thank you everyone. Yeah, no, I was using, the worst part about it too is when I would go to sleep, that's when my throat would be most relaxed, and it would actually put pressure on the pain spots. And I would have to put a numbing lozenge, like a Cepacol, in before bed. And then 4 hours later, I would wake up, I would have to eat, take some antibiotics, and then put another lozenge in to get me through the next 4 hours as well. And that's how I slept for 7 days in a row. It was really, really bad. So I'd probably say only 2 nights ago was the first night that I actually got a full night's sleep. Yeah, we're on day 13 now that I've been dealing with this. It's a little wild that it's been that long. But I would definitely say the last 5 days I've been a lot more functional to be able to get this stuff going. But I'm happy that you guys care and you're concerned about what happened. But yeah, that was basically it with the sickness. It was bad. Oh man, ice cubes made of whiskey. Yes, I could really, really go for a strong drink right now. Yeah, maybe some Jack and Coke over some giant ice cubes in a nice little shaker glass, nice little, what do you call them, those highball? I can't remember what they're called, but that would be really nice. Thank you, Pam, for that post. I appreciate that. I appreciate the moderators inside of group chat right now. So guys, I have another announcement too I'm going to talk about during the show as well. Those of you who have not signed up for Patreon, I understand our tiers can be a little bit expensive if you just don't need any help. Like if you're just a seasoned seller and you don't want to spend $20 a month, I get that, okay? Because you might not see the value in what we're doing. The group chat value is huge. We're also going to talk about this monstrosity going on here on my shelf and why there's so much value. But we added a new tier, and it's an opportunity to where you can just contribute $1 an episode. Essentially, it's $5 a month. We do 4 to 5 of these a month, and then we do our pre-recorded videos, which we've been really backlogged on. And if you'd like to support, it's only $5 a month now, and you can help us out with our show. And we're really trying to get to a point where we can eliminate all advertising and all sponsors. So as of right now, you might not have noticed the difference, but if you look above, there's no more sponsors. And if you look down in the description right now, there's no more sponsors. So we're no longer working with PayPal, Pirate Ship, Honey, and Prairie Grit. We've ended all of our sponsorship arrangements with them. And if you go back through and you look at our library of videos, we have removed all of the sponsor links from all of those videos. And we would really like to get to a point where we can broadcast this show advertisement free, as well as the replay, and be able to do it advertisement free. But we got to get a little bit further along. So if you've been on the fence about it and you've been thinking, hey, maybe I'm going to pull the trigger on the Patreon, maybe I want a little bit of support, sure, try out the $20 tier. If you decide you just want to help the show along, you want to throw us a few bucks every month, $1 a week, $5 a month, that's all it takes. So patreon.com/Bolo, link above. And I appreciate you hearing my spiel. Just keep in mind, I only give this presentation like once a week. I might talk about, I got to talk a little bit about it during the show, because it is a big difference, and I know some people fast forward through this, but just wanted to get that out there. Hey Mindy, good to see you in here tonight, as well as Key Webco, happy to have you here too. I think we're going to have a good show. Oh yeah, we adjusted a lot of the music too. So the intro music has been adjusted again. Epidemic Sound has decided to go through and claim a lot of my other videos. So now we are using very, very special music. I can talk about it off air, but I won't talk about it on air. But we're using music now that should be fine, should take care of us for a while. Yeah, wait till you hear the new intro, Key Webco. Yeah, we did a little bit of retiming work, and we recut the intro again, and I think now we have a version that's not only the right energy that I'm looking for, because I really wasn't happy with the energy of the last one. You guys might have noticed I kind of stumbled through my intros because I wasn't feeling amped up enough. So not only did we change it for the pre-roll, but we also changed it for the intro too, so hopefully it'll be a better experience. And then we've also remastered the sound on it as well. And I did some testing. If it's off this week, just let me know. But it should be good. Roger, go ahead and get with me. I'm so sorry. Key Webco, go ahead and get with me privately and send me a DM, and I can help you secure music that not only doesn't require attribution, it doesn't require any royalties to be paid either. And you're going to be able to completely use it for your life for free. So this next song that's coming up, this is one of my favorite ones. We don't have to pay for this one either, and we're happy to give credit to the artist, if they requested credit, but this is just an easier way to go. And then we jammed in some news stories here right before we got going. What else do we have? Train Watcher Don, thanks for joining us again. I haven't seen you in a little while. If it's the same person. I think it's been a couple of months since I've last seen you. Well, I'm happy I remembered. Yeah, I do my best to... genuinely, I appreciate all the people who show up, even those who aren't giving me a penny. I'm happy that you're here, and I know some of you guys watch me too. It's a little wild. You guys don't even resell. You just come and listen for the talk. So thanks for that as well. Ocean Wave, if you're having trouble with eBay, get yourself Concierge. It'll change your life. I am excited every time I have a reason to call eBay. They're great people to speak to when I work with them. I think it's that time, guys. I think it's time that we start the show. with the new music. Hopefully it works. I mean, sometimes it doesn't, but are we all ready to go? Are we ready to do this? Are we pumped? I think we need to get pumped. Let's do this. What is going... Where'd my music go? What happened? Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Oh, you know, I think I hit the wrong button. You know, that happens sometimes. We'll get it sorted out by next week. What's going on, guys? This is Jay Kraft with the Facebook group Bolo Pickers Lounge, and I'm coming at you live again from beautiful Bakersfield, California. Today is October 13th, 2019, and I have a huge show in store for you again. What are we doing this week, guys? Well, we have to talk about the USPS rates and what's going to be happening in 2020 and how it might affect your business moving forward. Again, we're talking about those micro margins, but they do add up year over year. On top of that, we're going to be talking about some stuff that's going on with Amazon. I guess, unfortunately, too many people have died because of their new delivery program. I know, it's really dicey news to talk about, but we got to talk about it. And on top of that, we have some changes coming to USPS mail slots that you might want to be in the know about. And in big news, did you catch last week's Big Bolo? We talked about it privately within our Patreon group, and if you were a part of it, you stand to make potentially hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that moving forward and why we do stuff a little bit differently than the rest and the value behind our Patreon program. But first and foremost, I want to thank our newest patrons. We have 3 of them this week. 3 new people joined our team. Firstly, I'd like to give a big thank you to Zaida. She's just jumped on board, as well as Charles, and she goes by Fat Girl Sewing here on YouTube, and 2 of those are viewers, and one of them is a full-tier patron, and I want to thank you so much for joining our team. Guys, we are working diligently to try and get to a point where we will no longer need sponsors, and believe it or not, we would like this show to be an ad-free production. So you know how you came to the channel this week and you saw an ad at the beginning of the video, and if you're like others and you're watching the replay throughout the week and you see all those ads that play through, well, I'll be frank with you. A lot of people don't know this. Us, the creator, we're the ones who decide how many ad rolls go inside of our videos. So if you go to other people's channels and you load up the video and you see a disgusting amount of ads, 10 to 15 ads within the first half hour, the creator has actually chosen to place all of those ads there. It's something that they don't like to talk about. Me, when I run mine, I try and do them every 20 minutes, which I think is fair. It's a little less frequent than you would see on traditional TV, but it allows us to keep things going. But moving forward, what we are going to do, at least for now, we're going to try this out, as long as we get 1 new patron each week, 1 more person to jump on board and say that they're going to help out, those people who help out will be responsible for the next ad-free episode. So if one of you guys decides to help out anytime during this week, next week's show will be free of ads, just as a thank you for helping this program grow. On top of that, we've actually cut all of our sponsors, and there's a lot of different reasons behind it, but we are no longer going to be working with Pirate Ship, Prairie Grit, Honey, and PayPal as far as affiliate links are concerned. If you noticed in the pre-roll, they're not up there anymore, and if you notice down in the description, we've removed them. On top of that, we actually removed 100% of the sponsor links throughout all of our videos. I felt that as a channel that's focusing on education and a channel that's focusing on helping other people, I may have gotten a little bit too concerned with the bottom line and helping out other brands, and we'll talk about that maybe a little bit later, but I really want to get back to the roots of why I started doing this, and that's helping you guys, sharing valuable information with you that's going to help your business grow. And the whole premise in the beginning was that those who wish to receive help, some of you are going to help me back and give me the opportunity to help this grow, and then in turn, we're able to go and help more people. I even had somebody comment to me that they said, I'll never beg for money on my YouTube channel. And they did it in a very matter-of-fact way. And I said, you know what? I'm not begging. I'm asking for help so that way I can help more people. And I don't know if they understand the 10 to 20 hours that go into each episode. And you'll see some of that work here as we move forward a little bit, because I had to build a bunch of charts this week. But I tell people, You know, if you want to help, please. It really does help. And we have a brand new tier. It's called our viewer tier. If you don't want to pay the $20 to get all the perks and everything that comes with being a patron, which I strongly recommend, talk to any of our patrons that are existing right now and they'll tell you the group chat is worth every penny. But if you just like to donate $1 an episode, it's only $5 a month. Okay. We have a brand new viewer tier, patreon.com/Bolorama. You can help keep us on the air. You can help keep us ad-free moving forward. And I'm not saying we're just not going to have ads for the week that video comes out. If we manage to pick up a new patron over the course of next week's video will be ad-free for the life of the video. We will never apply ads to that video after that if somebody is willing to step up and help out. So again, thank you to our newest patrons. Also, thank you so much to Pam, Mindy, and Richard, our admins who are helping keep the comments clean behind the scenes. So I wanted to start with a little bit of a story before we got into the postal chart. So if you're watching this later, you can fast forward a bit, or if you want to grab a snack because you don't like my stories, that's fine. So I was out disc golfing the other day after being ridiculously sick. My buddy Scott came into town and we went out to the course, and I haven't done anything athletic in almost 2 weeks. The sickness really, really hit me hard. I spent 6 days in bed. I spent 10 days off of work. And firstly, I want to say it's absolutely amazing to me how I can sit here and say, I don't have time to take off. I don't have time to go on a vacation. I don't have time to watch the last episode of Game of Thrones. I'm going a million miles an hour. And then the moment I'm sick, I somehow manage to find the time. I found 6 days in a row to lay in bed and recover. And it was a very, very bad sickness. I'm still dealing with some throat issues, the last of a bacterial infection. I'm on antibiotics right now. But I managed to find 6 days off. And just start this off by saying, we can find the time to take off if we can find it when we're sick. So I'm going to try and be more considerate to myself. But moving on, I ended up going and playing some disc golf with my buddy Scott. He was nice enough to come into town. If you haven't played disc golf before, it's like ball golf, but you have these specially modified Frisbee disc that I can throw a good one the distance of a football field. It's quite an incredible sport, and you're aiming for these baskets. Well, we get up to hole 6, and I crank one back, and I launch it up, and you know what? I got the angle wrong, and it flies up into a tree about 40 feet up, falls, lands 25 feet from the ground. And it's up there high. I don't know if you can understand perspective. It's about 2 stories, give or take, maybe a little bit more than that off of the ground. And we both walk over in an effort to get it back, because these discs are $15 to $30 each. They're not cheap, okay? And what do? The first thing we do is we try and do it the shortcut way. We try and do it the easy way, which is grabbing another disc from your bag, hurling it up there, trying to knock it down. And we probably invest 5 to 10 minutes into this method, attempting to recover the disc. And we realize right then and there, okay, this method isn't going to work. I hit the disc 2 times. One time I pushed it further up. The second time I pushed it further down. I said, okay, this isn't going to work. And I said, you know what I'm going to do? I look over the hill to my side and I see a giant tree with huge branches coming off the top of it and a bunch of downed wood. I look at him and I say, hey, I'm going to go over there and I'm going to find a giant stick and I'm going to get this disc down out of the tree. He says, if you think that's going to work. And I said, well, it might work. It might. I'm going to give it a shot. You know, I'm like, it's that or I got to climb the thing. And, you know, I have a little bit of background in climbing, but it's a tree. You know, it's a little bit dicey, especially that high up. I leave to go find a stick, and I look back and I see him climbing the tree behind me. And I guess it kind of became a moment for glory between the two of us. We wanted to see who could get this disc down at this point. I go out there and I scavenge and scour and look and probably find a stick about 3 minutes later that's about 20 feet in length. It's a pretty beefy stick. And I pick it up and I start dragging this bad boy back. It's completely dried out, maybe only weighs about 15 pounds, drag the whole thing back, and by the time I do, I see my buddy Scott, 6'3", about 15 plus feet up in that tree, and he's reaching, trying to get that disc. He's so close to being able to get the thing. It's just out of reach. And I come over with my giant stick, and I lift that bad boy straight up into the air, and I'm standing up on my tiptoes, and I'm pushing, and I'm reaching, and you know what? I'm about 6 inches short as well, okay? Neither one of us were able to get to the disc from our vantage point. And I look over at him, he looks back at me, and then we realized right in that moment that we would be able to accomplish something together here, and that even though both of us felt like we had the best idea going into this, and we had wildly different ideas on how to get this task completed, I looked at him, he looked at me, I passed the stick up to him. He grabbed the end of it, and then he was able to push it right off the top. It was right then that we realized if we just work together a little bit here, put our efforts together, even with something or someone that we might disagree with, we can still manage to get some work accomplished, and we're still able to complete the task at hand. I really wanted to share that with you guys because I thought it was going to be I don't know. I thought it might be a lost cause, but with a little bit of teamwork, we were able to get it done. So that was something that happened to me this week, and it kind of resonated with me. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into some news, because that's what we do here. Firstly, I'd like to thank all of our patrons, as well as our top patrons for this week. We got Zyda, Pam, Matthew, Ashley, Anna and Joe, Lee James, Brandy, and Rob. I do also want to preface that we were unable to render our outro to pay thank you to our newest patrons this week, but it will be available by this Sunday. And thank you to everyone in the crowd again for being here tonight. We got 37 people here. And hello to you, Sundry. I appreciate you. I appreciate you popping in for the first time with us this evening. So let's take a look at some news. Guys, we're going to talk about rate changes. Now, across the board, the rate changes are not devastating, but it's important to know what type of changes we're going to be seeing, because we're going to be talking about things like cost basis here in just one moment. All of the rates have been changed or will be being changed come January 2020. Now, this isn't something that was unexpected. We've seen these changes come in January before. On average, we can expect 2 rate changes per year from USPS. Previously, the one that we had seen before was a much larger increase. It was about 3.9% across the board. This time, we're looking at a rate increase of about 1.9%. Now, part of this slowdown in the actual rate increase as a whole is due to where the economy is at right now and the amount of commerce that's getting shipped around. It's quite a bit. USPS doesn't need as much of an increase as they had historically to be able to cover some of the gaps in financing that they've had. Now, obviously, they're a company that's still losing money quarter over quarter, but this will allow them to retain the amount of bleed that they've been having without getting even further into the hole. Now, like I said, 1.9% across the board, and this covers all of the increases. We're talking retail, we're talking commercial plus. The whole way across the board is what we're seeing for those changes. So, I'm sorry guys, give me 1 second. Okay, so yeah, across the board. Now, if we break it down a little bit further, we're seeing a Priority Mail Express seeing about a 3.5% increase. Priority Mail, something that we use quite often, seeing 4.1% increase. Retail pricing see a 4.9% increase. And seriously, guys, please don't ever walk a package into the post office without postage on it. Attach some postage to it. It's not difficult to get sorted out. Consumer Pricing Plus or Consumer Plus Pricing, whatever they're calling it now, they keep changing the name. You're seeing an increase of about 3%. And then first class commercial, which is the rates that we're paying when we're using stuff like Pirate Ship, or if you're a top-rated seller, possibly using Stamps.com, that's the pricing you're going to see. Hold on 1 second. I just realized one of my settings is off. There we go. Make all of that look a little bit better. Those of you who don't know, I'm using a special camera to be able to pull off the tech stuff that we're doing now. So, as a whole, we're seeing these increases. I also want to state, too, that if you're a patron, 100% of these charts are going to be available on our secondary page at 4:32 today after this presentation is over. Also, with all the charts that you're seeing, the sections that are in red are assets that belong to pirateship.com. All the assets that are in green were hand-created by me specifically for us. If you're another content creator, do not remove my watermark, or I will challenge it somehow. But yeah, so you'll see a lot of our assets are branded now because it took me several hours to be able to make these charts. So if we look at this first one here, we're going to see some changes with first class shipping. We're going to see our baseline minimum for zone 1-2. Going anywhere between 1 to 4 ounces, moving from 266 up to 274. Like I said, it's not a huge increase, just a couple of percent across the board. And then if we look at our peak out prices, which is an important metric to understand, when we look at anywhere between 13 to 16 ounces, we're seeing a movement from $5.53 up to $5.70. Also, guys, this is a live Q&A. If you have any questions about these charts or anything else reselling related during the show, don't be afraid to leave it in the comments, and we'll be happy to get it answered for you. So now when I said we're going to talk about cost basis, it's something that's important to understand. We had historically done a slide the last time the rates went up to be able to help people understand where your buy rate should be. And when I mean buy rate, we're talking about the amount of money that you want to make on an individual sale, the amount that you're able to spend to be able to, in a worst case scenario, be able to turn a profit at that point. So I can remember way back when, historically, when I could buy something and expect to sell it on eBay for $10, and I would still be able to turn a profit that would be worth my time. And we're talking a $5 to $6 profit when I was doing first class shipping for $266. Now I know some of you remember, or not $266, much lower than that. $194, I think, was the cheapest. $194, $184, somewhere in there. Really, really cheap ship price. eBay fees were around 7% at the time. We didn't have to worry about certain types of taxes that we have to worry about now. And then you have your PayPal fees as well. You were able to turn a good profit. Now, when we're looking at items now, when I'm buying something, especially if it feels like it's a little bit closer to £1, I have to assume it's going to cost me now up to $5.70 to ship the item out. Because realistically speaking, the range goes from $5 to $5.70. Even if we just said $5, it's still going to be a bad scenario. But if we say $5.70 and we bought the item for $2, and we sold the item for $20, we're looking at another, what is that, 10% of $20, $2 plus another 3% your PayPal, 3% on $20, what, 3, 2, 60, another 60 cents, 260 on top of your 570, on top of your cost basis of $2, you're about $10 in the hole already to be able to turn a $10 profit, okay? So it's important to understand these numbers. If you bought something and it ends up costing you $5.70 to fire out and you sell it for $9.99 on eBay, odds are you're probably going to come close to breaking even, if not making about $1. So the other end of your cost basis too, the other thing to understand is how much do you want to get paid for your time? As postal rates increase, as we see inflation on other goods like our packing supplies, and especially here in California when we're looking at an increase in gas, I drove by the station the other day, $4.30 for regular unleaded. When we see all of these increasing costs, we have to factor these things in when we're making our buying decisions. Historically, I would buy an item 5-10 years ago that I could sell for $10. Today, I don't like to touch items. I don't like to buy items. Sometimes I don't even like items that are given to me for free that I can list for anything under $25. Now, I remember early on I would say that I would make a fortune on my smalls, $5 here, $10 here, and those sales would really add up over time, and they certainly do. If you're new to eBay, you're new to Mercari, new to Posh, new to Etsy, whatever platform you're selling on, you need to determine for yourself the amount of money that you have to make per sale. As your life gets busier and as your brand and your business gets busier and you start evolving and doing new things, you're going to want to reevaluate what you're willing to spend to be able to turn the profit that you want to make, and you have to take into account things like shipping cost. Now, like I said, this is a much smaller increase than normal, but it's still something important to know. CatCon says, LOL, almost twice that in CA. Yeah, no, the gas prices are getting very, very insane here. Guys, we have this thing going on. I don't know what it is. We get these people that like to come in and just kind of hate on our channel. If you haven't done so yet, I'd really appreciate if you click that like button. I'd like to also introduce a new character. His name is Mr. O Lantern, and he's here to let you know that you need to subscribe. Oh no, why is it out of position? We'll fix that later. We had a nice little cute subscribe button, but he's not working right now. But pay no homage to that. Let's carry on with our slideshow presentation. So that's the first class one, like I was telling you. And let's go and take a look. Let's go ahead and move across to cubic shipping. Cubic shipping saw a bit of movement as well. Now, these national averages were provided based on millions of packages that were shipped out via pirate ship over the last year that helped them determine what the average consumer pays per package. And you can see it falls on, most of them it falls between zone 3 or 4, and then some of them fall between zone 4 and 5 to give give you kind of a ballpark of what type of numbers that you're going to be looking for. Now, with the updated cubic pricing, we're seeing some movement again. We're seeing our baseline minimum moving from $6.95 to $7.02, and we're seeing our worst case scenario, our cubic 5 or half a cubic foot zone 9 scenario moving from $24.96 up to $29.88. Now, the odds of you getting a zone 9, we're talking the territories, we're talking, what is it, like, the little outlying islands and stuff like that. Most people are only going to see zone 8 at worst, but even zone 8 and half a cubic foot's moving from 1791 to 1924. So certain people out there are going to be affected a lot more dramatically than others. So if you're moving a lot of packages that fall within that cubic 4, cubic 5, you have far destinations, you're going east to west coast, west to east coast, yeah, you're going to see a much, much bigger impact. This is truly going to affect your bottom line a lot more, because when we talk about a 5 to 8% increase on a cost of shipping that's already $18, yeah, it's a pretty big impact. So keep that in mind if you are somebody who's using cubic shipping, which I recommend pretty much everyone use. Now, before, we've seen in the past where cubic shipping starts creeping up again, and frankly, it's becoming less and less of a value each and every week that moves on, because these increases are really, really pounding at the bottom line for shipping this way. Let me take a look at some of these comments real quick. Yeah, Costco here in the Costco gas price here in California is still around $4, so it's really expensive to drive around, and you do want to factor in all of those costs as a reseller. It's really easy to overlook, $40 worth of gas while you're out sourcing, while you're doing yard sales and stuff like that. Lisa says 90% of my stuff goes cubic. Yeah, so if you're sending out a lot of cubic, this is a good opportunity to start reevaluating flat rate again. Now, we've talked about flat rate before in the past, because there's been periods where, even think about Parcel Select. Parcel Select used to be a really, really good option, and then USPS said, now screw that, we're going to jam the prices up. We're going to make them more expensive than Priority because we want more people using Priority. And then they realized, it's like, certain customers would simply not ship stuff if there wasn't a slightly cheaper alternative, and then you saw it get slightly more competitive again comparative to Priority. They increased Priority, I think it was 4%, and they increased, was it Smart Post or Parcel Select? They had only increased it 1% on the last increase that we had. This time we saw, like I said, pretty solid increases across the board, but for most people, you shouldn't be affected unless you're doing a ton of cubic or a ton of flat rate. So let's take a look at this flat rate one. Now, I went ahead and broke this down side by side. You can see the rates that we're at in 2019 and the rates that we're at in 2020. Again, these charts are all custom. Okay, if you need these charts for training purposes or anything like that, feel free to reach out to me, and if we can work with you, we definitely will, but they are not going to be made available for everyone. If you see these charts someplace else as well, please let me know, because they are proprietary pieces for our show right now. Starting out with the flat rate envelopes, we saw an increase of about 20 cents there. And I do want to also clarify, these are the projected changes for January 2020. Okay, projected. Now, the thing is that you want to take away from that as well is that they can change, but in the last 5 years, the last 10 updates that they've done, the projected rates and the final rates have been identical. Okay, so I feel very confident in making these charts and presenting them the way they are, especially with the caveat that they are projections. And if they do change, guess what? I'll be the first person to let you know, so that way you're in the loop about what's going on. Legal flat rate envelopes have gone up another 20 cents. If you guys aren't using them, they're the longer flat rate envelopes. Padded flat rate has moved up again another 20 cents. Do you guys remember when the padded flats were, $5.90? Those were the good old days. Small flat rate box, which I haven't touched one in years, up another 15 cents, pretty much making it useless at this point. Because why would you use that? Why would you use that when you could pay a dime more and you could get a padded flat rate envelope? Medium flat rate boxes becoming more useless, seeing a 40-cent increase, and large flat rate becoming the most useless option of them all, moving up to $18.30. Now, I remember when the large flat rates were around $13, and you could jam a board game in there, and you could put an extra $5 in your pocket. But these rates just essentially are garbage. The padded, like I said before, is pretty much one of the only ones that I'm actually going to use. Taking a look at our next chart, and I want to be honest, guys, we don't have a ton of news today. This show's probably only going to be about an hour, maybe hour and 15 minutes long today. Taking a look at priority variable, if you look at last year's rates, again, broken down by zones, across the board, national averages, you can see them on that top chart. Here on the bottom chart, the one that we've made, we can see that we have an increase again when we're looking at the low end, £1. Zones 1 and 2, we're only seeing about a 7-cent increase, but if we go all the way to the extreme, we look at zone 8, looking at a 5-pound package, we see movement from $20.40. Now it's going to cost you $21.01. So an increase of about 60 cents on there. And that's something that USPS is kind of done with these charts. You'll notice that on the lighter end weights, they've made some of the smallest adjustments, but on the heaviest weights, they've made the biggest adjustments. And that's what allows them to get away with saying, oh yes, it's a 1.9% increase across the board, but the things that people actually need the most discount on are heavy stuff that we're already shipping out. We're getting hammered the worst on that. So if you, like I said before, if you ship a lot of heavy stuff, it might be a good opportunity to both reevaluate flat rate options as well as regional options, which we're going to talk about here in a second. Regional A and B could come back into a situation where it could be viable, as well as looking at alternatives like Smart Post, which is the service offered by both USPS and FedEx in tandem. If you're not using Smart Post, I recommend checking that out as well. Let me take a look at these comments. I love how you guys are just on about gas over there. But yeah, if you if you have any questions about these rates, just let me know. But yeah, that's priority variable for you. We're seeing a lot of movement on that one. Again, across the board, heavier packages are going to get hammered the most on that one. Looking at regional boxes next, we're seeing, again, a lot of movement. It looks like I have the charts upside down on this one. So our chart is the top one. I actually branded the wrong one. I apologize about that. I made these all in one afternoon. So again, this top one is our chart. And you can see movement moving from 765 on the low end up to 768. And then on the high end, we're looking at difference on like a regional B going zone 8. You're looking at a difference from 2103 to 2189, about an 86 cents difference between the two. And then an additional rate is applied if you take it in and you do it at retail. So again, increasing prices across the board, but look into the viability of it. As a whole, they didn't see that much movement, and they could be very, very useful moving forward. It really depends on where you're going. Generally, zones 1 through 5 is where you're going to see most of your regional boxes going, because that's what regional rate was originally designed for. Short distance, short journey packages. So you'll see the most help there. Moving forward, media mail. It's real important that you guys don't forget about media mail when you're doing your items. DVDs, CDs, VHSs, cassettes, documents that don't have documents that are free of advertising can be all sent media mail. Obviously, double check with your postmaster or online guidelines if you're worried about your package or the type of item that you have. Just remember, media mail packages are authorized for inspection if they believe you're shipping something that isn't media, and you cannot ship blank media via media mail. So you can't ship blank paper, blank CDs, blank VHSs. That is not allowed. We are seeing movement again, but they are minuscule movements. We're seeing anywhere from the low end 6-cent increase up to 17-cent increase across the 10-pound range that we're showing. Now, these charts are available, and they go all the way up to, I think, 70 pounds on some of these, but I felt that might be a little bit ridiculous to give you that much information. All of the stuff is available online at the Postmaster site as well. But don't forget about media mail. A lot of people do, especially if you're sending out a certain types of digital software. You know, some people do video games. It can be a tricky gray area sometimes with those. But if you have digital software and you can get it out for, $2.75 opposed to paying what might be $3.60 on a first class package going across the country, put $1 in your pocket. It's not that difficult. So most of my smalls are media. Love my media mail. I agree with you completely. And then, if you're selling pounds and pounds of textbooks, it's definitely going to save you a ton of money. And then our last chart for today, we're going to take a look at Parcel Select. Let me kill this coffee off. Like I said, we're not seeing a ton of movement again on this one, but if we look at the old averages, national averages, as well as where we were at on zone 1, Zone 1, 1 pound going from $6.85 up to $6.92. And if we look at the extremes again, if we look at a Zone 8, we're seeing movement on a 5-pound package from $20.05 up to $20.66. Pat says present and accounted for. Pat, if you're shipping a lot of heavy stuff via USPS, you may want to catch the replay. It's probably going to impact your business more than it's going to impact most people's businesses, simply because of the impact that it's having on the higher weight ranges currently. Now, when I was reading through this, let me read this. Anne-Marie says, as gas prices go up, online buying goes up. Brand yourself as a personal shopper, notes in every parcel asking them to think of you and ask you to Bolo for them. It's definitely one way to do it. Definitely one way to do it. I always try and give that personal touch, whether it be a thank you card or, using nice gift wrap or tissue paper or something like that when viable. Now, someone had pointed out a comment that I found to be really interesting regarding these rate increases to kind of justify their position. It said the USPS made a point of noting that unlike some other shippers, the Postal Service does not add surcharges for fuel, residential delivery, or regular Saturday or holiday season delivery. And I guess that was their justification for saying that we're going to increase the prices again, and that's just kind of how it's going to be. Because I can't really think of much worse than when eBay fees go up, because sometimes we have to sit there and say, well, we kind of got to take it. Well, USPS rates going up are an even worse version of that, because there isn't many cheap alternatives. I know some people who do a lot of volume through UPS, which can be good at times, but for me, the amount of time that I lose checking UPS on packages, I would rather be doing almost anything else and just get it fired out the door USPS. I do recommend, again, stay diverse with your inventory, manage your cost basis, look into more media goods, look into more first class goods. If you need to, bring a darn scale with you. Okay, bring a little pocket scale, a digi, and you can weigh an item while you're out on the go to better help you make your buying decision on your item. Does anyone have any questions regarding the 2020 postal rate increases? I'm going to take a look at some of these comments here. Larger items are strictly ship on pallet. I use freight quote. We're talking large in the sense of, anywhere between 10 to 70 pounds via USPS. Only restrictions I have on sourcing is if it's not a minimum of 5x6, I do not buy it. Nice. Or 526. Okay, cool. Waiting to see what the new UPU agreement will do. Yeah, well, that UPU agreement, it's going to take probably another year before we get that sorted out. Anne-Marie says, we do not have to take it. Mercari is gaining traction, especially on their heavier items. They are gaining traction, but they're subsidizing is what they're doing. So they're coming out of pocket to be able to offer you that discounted shipping. And they're using that as a catalyst to be able to get new people to the platform. I don't know how long it can last, and we've seen other brands do this before. I believe Postal was doing a similar thing with their flat rate labels that they were offering below cost. And just basically robbing Peter to pay Paul. They take a certain amount of fees via advertising or via final value fees, and they apply that as a shipping discount to you. It would be great. It'd be really, really great to see eBay step up to the plate and say, hey, we're actually going to help our sellers ship stuff for a reasonable price. But it really seems like that isn't going to be happening anytime soon because, I don't know, eBay's up to their neck right now trying to get customers back, trying to figure out what they're going to do with their assets, trying to figure out who the next CEO is going to be. We're still waiting on more details for that as well. Yep, 100% Tamara. Yeah, you were right there with me. Echoed that thought for sure. If I missed your comment, I apologize. If you have a really important comment, feel free to hit that super chat button, and then you can help support our show directly as well. Let's go and talk a little bit more about postage. Guys, we have some changes to the way that post boxes are working. I don't know if you heard about this. They're going to be changing the size of the slots nationwide, and two reasons behind it. One I get, the other one I don't. The first one is they've been having issues in some large cities, LA, New York, Seattle, Dallas, those types of cities of people fishing in the mailboxes. Anytime between like 2 and 4 a.m. in the morning, they're jamming pry rods down in there, trying to grab mail and then pull it out. They're basically trying to get checks that are being sent out, cash that might be getting sent out. I don't understand how this can be a profitable venture for somebody to sit there with a stick and try and pull letters out. But apparently it's such an issue that they now have installed lock and key assemblies on post boxes in the towns that they've been having issues with. And they go through and they lock them up in the evening. So that way people cannot get inside of them, basically destroying the convenience of having a postal box. The other reason too, which I've just learned about this last week, and it blows my mind, is that people have been jamming medium long boxes and regional A boxes inside of these postal bins, these postal boxes. Who are the people that are doing that? Who is jamming these boxes inside of those USPS drop boxes? So apparently they've had issue with them jamming up the boxes and then nobody else can use them. And I saw people online actually complaining that they're not able to do that any longer. And they say, this is unfair. I can't believe this is a thing. I'm not going to be able to shove them in there anymore. Your life should not be inconvenienced because you can't fit a medium flat rate box inside of a post bin. Go to the post office before 5 o'clock and jump on in there and get your packages dropped off. It's just that easy. Yeah. Crazy little story. Moving on, we got to talk about Amazon. Now, if you don't remember, a couple of weeks back, maybe a month back, we talked, maybe even 2 months back, we talked about how Amazon was ramping up and spending millions and millions of dollars to hire third-party contractor companies. Now, they've been doing the contractor companies for years now, since 2015, 2016, and you haven't heard much about it until they said, hey, we really need more people. And they started looking at some of their senior employees, and they started offering incentives to be able to get vans, uniforms, payroll management. They really stepped up. They said, we're going to give you the logistics software to manage getting these packages out. And companies were created from scratch with this financial backing and support from Amazon. And a bunch of them cropped up. A bunch of them came out of nowhere to be able to fill in this void because Amazon got to a point where they said, we want to do one-day shipping. And they simply didn't have the manpower to make it happen. Well, some things have happened since they started this whole process. Just as of recent, we learned that an Atlanta-based company called Impact Shipping Solution, as of October 2nd, will be laying off 925 employees at one time. And as a whole, the third-party package delivery service is looking to lose thousands of employees before the end of the year. Amazon is taking a big step back right now because they've been having problems being able to regulate what's happening within these companies. Now, we already know it. Brands like Amazon want to know exactly what's happening with your business and their own business. So we've seen it happen before where Amazon has really hunkered down on private label brands, even large brands as well. And what ends up happening is that these companies have all of these employees that they're hiring, and Amazon can't keep an eye on them. We have a handful of situations that have happened. In 2016, a van hit another vehicle, killed the driver. In 2018, another driver hit the back of a semi. In 2018, same month of June, we had somebody actually get run over by one of these delivery vans. In total, there's been 60 accidents over the last 2 years, resulting in 10 fatalities. Okay, it's a little bit ridiculous, but at the same time, I understand they got probably 10,000 drivers on the road. Now, Amazon actually made an official statement regarding this. It said, Amazon is proud of our strong safety and labor compliance record across our transportation network of employees and contractors, and we continue to drive improvements. Probably not the best usage of words there. We continue to drive improvements that benefit our transportation providers, our customers, and the public. We have a strict requirement for safety and labor wages and working conditions that meet or exceed the law. We also require comprehensive insurance, competitive wages, working hours, and numerous other safeguards for our delivery service providers and regularly audit to ensure compliance. Safety is and will remain Amazon's top priority, as evidenced by the vast percentage of deliveries that arrived on time and without incident. Now, I'm not going to deny that. We probably have millions and millions and millions of successfully delivered third-party packages over the last couple of years, okay? But, it's always those small things that are going to stand out. Look at Tesla, for instance, okay? 2 people have been killed so far inside of Tesla vehicles. Both times, they were driver fault. It's when the driver took over the vehicle when it was on autopilot and caused an accident. Well, I think maybe one, there was a defect. But that's the one that you hear about on the news. That's the one that everyone's talking about, is that one incident that happened. But they seem to forget that Tesla cars as a whole have driven something like 10 to 50 million miles on the road incident-free already. Okay, so it's a pretty wild metric when you put it into comparison. And I think the same thing's here true of Amazon, but I think when you're somebody like Amazon, you're all the way at the top, they're constantly looking for things to try and knock that company down, and same thing's happening with Tesla as well. Now, beyond that, they've also been having some issues with these third-party contractors too, which I think might be more of the underlying reason as why brands are feeling this way, as part of why that Amazon wants to separate from some of these brands. A video was released earlier this week showing an Amazon third-party employee bringing a package up to the front door of somebody's house. They didn't use the steps. They walked on the garden side, brought it up, scanned it, put it down, took a picture of it with their cell phone to confirm the delivery, then picked the package back up, put it under his clipboard, and then walked it to the van. Now, Amazon offered this person a $5 credit. $5 credit for this inconvenience on a $100 delivery. And then after the video got posted to Facebook, they went ahead and offered him $100 instead. Sorry, 1 second. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm seeing comments coming up that I have to attend to over on my side screen over here. We have a second computer that allows me to pay attention to side stuff. Pam, to answer that question, what you did will be sufficient. Sorry about that, guys. We have a secondary admin chat that allows me to follow everything that's going on. Charlie Hustle says, wow, stealing from UPS is mail fraud, and that driver is a moron headed for Club Fed. Yeah, you really can't be stealing people's packages like that. It's a little bit absurd. Looking over some of these comments here. Have a good one, Ocean Wave. Thanks for dropping on in. Good stuff. Let's carry on, guys. So yeah, this is some of the problems that Amazon is having now. It's just too much reach to expect that, a small part of Amazon is going to be able to successfully regulate what tens of thousands of employees are doing across the nation right now to be able to get these packages delivered. I think that they're going to get to that tipping point, and they're going to have to realize, we can't efficiently and successfully manage to do this because it's going to be too much. It's just not going to be possible. On top of that, Amazon's having some issues with their catalog right now too. If you guys don't know, we have a thing here. It's called CARB. It's here in California. It stands for California Air Resource Board. And to give you some more context, it says the California Air Resource Board is the clean air agency, which is responsible for managing air sanitation and motor vehicle pollution. California is currently the only state that is allowed to have such a regulatory agency, but other states can follow the CARB standards. Now, everything here, emissions-wise, is more expensive because it's California. And we somehow feel that if we have smog test on our vehicle and gas that has detergents inside of it, and we, make sure that everyone understands that the paint on the wall and the beans inside of our coffee all cause cancer. Those of you who don't know, when I ship my items out of California, I have to have a Prop 65 warning on my listings because heaven forbid something comes from California and I don't notify you that there might be a cancer risk associated with it. So if you're talking about difficulty selling online, keep in mind my listings have a Prop 65 warning and I'm still managing to get some sale. Some of them coming through, but it's something that we have to deal with here. Now, Amazon has taken a kind of bit of a sidestep, and they've regulated what people are allowed to sell into California. Furthermore, they're going through and they're destroying ASINs within the catalog right now too, because certain items that they are deeming, even as a non-hazmat item, they're deeming as items that could violate CARB standards. And rather than just leaving it as a restrictive type state and saying that this item won't be sold into California, whether it's MF or FBA, what they're doing is they're taking a hardline stance and simply pulling items from the catalog now, destroying people's ASINs and telling them, you have to recall all of your product or we're going to destroy it. And we're talking about things like car ionizers. We're talking about air filters, filtration devices, things to those effects, things that can put out ions into the air, because apparently the deadly ion scare. And now I understand high levels of ions, sure, can be bad for your health. But when we're talking about low emitting ions or even things that I saw one, it was a plastic cubby meant to hold air fresheners. Didn't contain air fresheners, didn't contain batteries, perfectly clear through hazmat guidance. That ASIN completely destroyed, and the gentleman has to recall all of his items. So it's a bunch of, as always, a bunch of stuff going on with Amazon week in, week out. So Let's take a look at our next one. Let me take a look at some of these comments real quick. There's always going to be bad apples when you have 100,000 employees plus. Yes, I agree completely. Money from Mars, you are exceptionally late. 45 minutes late. It's unforgivable. Yes, Mr. Exquisite, thank you for touching base on that. Yes, he said he was inside of a forum regarding auto parts. Yes, they are really doing damage to the catalog right now. I personally think that there's a little more going on to it. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist or anything, but I do feel that it has to do more in part with the fact that Amazon does want to become more of a first-party brand, and that they are taking active steps to slowly push away third-party sellers, especially in high-value categories like auto parts. It's probably one of the most rich categories out there, and it wouldn't be difficult for Amazon to be able to circumvent the third-party setup and go directly to the manufacturers, as there's only really a handful of manufacturers out there of certain parts. Money from Mars, you're fine. I appreciate you being here as always. Let's move on. We got some tiny bits. Like I said, tonight's show might be a little bit of a shorter one. I'd like to enjoy the rest of my evening tonight, and I don't want to overdo my throat. Guys, we have the eBay Q3 shareholder call. Apparently, I can't spell October correctly on my computer. Coming up October 23rd at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you'd like, I can put together a stream and we can listen to it in real time. If you'd prefer an edited highlight reel of what happened after, or for me to talk about on the Sunday show, I can do that too. But this is going to be an interesting one. Remember, we have Scott Schenkel, former CFO, stepping into the CEO position as an interim CEO. He is going to be presenting as the CEO on this call for the first time ever. And I'm really curious to see how that goes. I'm really curious to see shareholder perception. And the most exciting part of every single shareholder call, if you haven't listened to it before, it's that last half hour, that Q&A. So it's going to be a fun one, and it's even been the basis of videos that I've done in the past as well. Definitely want to tune in for that Q&A. Also, while I'm on it, if anyone out there is interested in financials or interested in shareholder discussion and jargon regarding other brands, I know this is a very eBay-heavy brand here, let me know. Okay. This year we missed Posh Fest, and I missed it on purpose. There just hasn't been much outcry for information regarding Posh. I will be starting on Mercari here very soon. I'm very, very excited about it, and that's going to happen after I do my eBay inventory audit, which I'll probably talk with you guys about as that approaches as well. But if you want to see other type of content, especially if you're helping support our show, please let me know, and I really want to bring exactly what you all want to see. Let's see. Jay, will you be talking about the eBay mag next week? I actually do not know what that is, so I'm going to take a note of that. eBay mag. But yeah, no, definitely give me some details. Charlie Hustle says, actually, it doesn't matter whether mail is privatized or public. It still falls under the postal system and can be prosecuted federally if the federal DA so chooses. Usually it gets kicked out to the state authority. Yeah. Good information. I didn't know that. Charlie says 28 members of the UPS hub went to federal prison for stealing packages a while back. That is wild. And, package theft is one of those things that I will really never understand. I think there's easier ways to be a criminal in 2019 than stealing packages off somebody's porch, especially if you're the one in charge of scanning them in and out. Yeah, there's better ways of going about it. eBay Mag is a way to import your listings into eBay's international platforms. If you're referring to that service that allows you to export it out to 7 different countries, but it counts each listing in each different country as another listing, the answer is no, because it's actually being ran by a third-party organization. It's not being run by eBay, and I've heard some really horrendous horror stories of it, as well as some of the unexpected costs that can come from it, especially with larger brands, especially after the promotional period ends. Now, if I'm off the mark, definitely send me a DM. I'm all about learning and getting more information on that as well. My city is advising Ring doorbells going into Christmas. Yeah, I have some horrible UPS people who the other day, I heard the truck pull up, and I was waiting on these Tokidokis that you see behind me, and I ran downstairs, and I see the package on the ground, and I see the guy walking away, and I look at him, I'm like, were you even going to ring the bell? He's like, I thought I did. I'm like, you thought you did, or did you? He's, I thought I did, and then he just turned around and kept going. I'm like, cool. great. And so even when we have, like, we've put signs up before that say, hey, hard of hearing, please knock hard, which isn't the case. Just, we play music in here often. We're working on big projects and stuff like that. So, yeah. And I do need to get a more traditional camera array out front, not like your big overhead cameras, but I do need to get me a doorbell cam as well. Yeah, and good for you if you got good shipping. I need some of that too. So that's what's going on with that. Also, I want to remind everyone the shipping coupon for eBay, those of you who have eBay stores, that coupon is available now. So definitely make sure you take advantage of that before all the good supplies get gobbled up coming into the holidays. It's always a good measure at the beginning of this quarter, Q4, to do a shipping supplies audit. You really want to go through and ask yourself, what am I going to need before Christmas? Will I need more tissue paper? Will I need more bubble wrap? Will I need more peanuts? Will I need diversity in boxes based on the inventory I have as well as the inventory that I plan to sell? Order your supplies now before prices go up due to shortages, and order your supplies, especially your USPS supplies, before the holiday crunch starts. Everyone waits until the beginning of December before they order their supplies, and you want to get them now while they're available, okay, and while they're not back ordered as well. On top of that, guys, Monday is Columbus Day. Don't do your packages until Tuesday. We advised most everyone to try and get your packages out on Saturday morning. That way you can avoid the headache of customers contacting you who order things generally Friday morning. People order stuff for some reason. A lot of people order stuff on Friday mornings. And then with the holiday, they're not going to be seeing their ship time start until Tuesday. It just creates a bad, sticky situation for a lot of people. So I do recommend you try and get your packages out early on Tuesday, just because of the Monday holiday that's coming up. On top of that, guys, in next week's news, we have a big development that just dropped 2 days ago. I'm waiting for more details before I do a full coverage on this story. eBay, Stripe, MasterCard, as well as Visa have all dropped out of Facebook's Libra program. Now, if you missed out on that one, I strongly recommend you go back and watch it. We talked about the brand new cryptocurrency that was intended to be pinned to the US dollar, the euro, the yen, and other currencies, and strong currencies globally. And eBay was one of the big backers in it, and they've decided that they're stepping back from it for now, is what they're saying. So we're going to be waiting to get more information on that, and how it might affect us moving forward, or the reasoning behind that. I find the timing to be a bit suspicious that this many companies would. I don't know if it has anything to do with the tensions in China right now regarding the tariffs between America and China. I don't know if it has anything to do with the censorship of global media because of China's presence within different fields such as digital entertainment. Or if it could have to do with the rising tensions between Hong Kong and China that we've been seeing. With the protest has been going on for, I think, 12 weeks now. It's a very long amount of protesting going on in Hong Kong. So there could be any number of reasons behind that, and we're just waiting for a little bit more details before we brief everyone on exactly what's going on and how that might affect you. Take a look at some of these comments. By November 15th, you will not get your USPS stuff in time to ship. Lesson learned. Exactly. We make that mistake one time. Why am I here, you ask? I am here to help make sure you don't make those mistakes and that you get it right the first time. That's really it right there. People are like, why should I support what he's doing? Why should I pay money for help if I don't think I need it? What I'm doing is I might not be teaching you a whole lot, but if I can prevent you from losing money, that's just as good, right? It's a win-win. So after that, guys, so that's what we're going to be talking about next week. I also want to talk. Let's get this back over here. I want to talk about these. So every, 3 months or so, I'll come to the table to our patrons, and we announced this on our last week's show, and I said, hey, if you want in on it, you got to get in on it. You got to be a part of it. And I said, hey, there's this really cool item coming up, and I'll show it to you right now. And I told everyone, I said, here's the information for it, and we did a lot of work behind it, okay? So this is the item. This is the Tokidoki Unicorno, eBay exclusive, New York Comic-Con exclusive. Only 500 of these were produced. Now, I have a number that I'm not going to reveal, amount of these that I've purchased, okay? It's a very dominating portion of all of these that were ever made. and for good reason. And I advised my patrons, and I insured my patrons. I said, hey, they're $40 each. Anyone who wants to buy 3, go ahead and buy them. Okay. And if you buy them and you want to get rid of them by January 1 and you want to turn a profit, you're going to be able to. And if you can't, let me know. I'll buy them off you. I'll pay you right back what you paid for them. You got no risk, nothing to lose. They were selling at $40 a pop initially, and we see sale prices online right now ranging anywhere between $75 up to $120 per figure. Okay. So good return on investment, but obviously the race to the bottom is going to happen as units get out into everyone's hand, but we're doing a lot of work on our end to ensure that we keep track of how many units are actually getting sold through, and we're doing a bit of strategy to make sure that they come to market at the right pricing to where everyone involved is going to be able to double their money after fees and shipping. We're basically aiming for that $100 price point. The sales are a little bit slow at the moment, which is going to happen. Right now we're seeing a lot of collector fatigue. The New York Comic Con is a big show, and people are spending copious amount of money right now to not only invest into goods like this, but they're buying for their personal collections as well. Now, this collaboration was part of the Arttober event that eBay does each and every year. We saw the artist Simone, I believe, Legno, who's a world-known Tokidoki creator. He produced this as well as an original print by the name Chinatown. And it's a beautiful piece, and only 100 of those were made. I went ahead and pulled the trigger on one of them. They were $85. They come with a sticker pack. I expect to do maybe a 2x return on investment, but it could be a bit long tail. I didn't insure that buy for everyone because it's a bit of a reach, and when it comes to paper art, it can be a bit more speculative opposed to physical hard good products. They have a tendency to retain their value in a much more secure way. So I thought that this was going to be a great buy. So this was a gift that I offered to the patron. And below here, you can actually see a handful of other items that I've recommended to people as well over the last year. Some Pokemon, some Magic the Gathering, some other vinyl stuff as well. So if you are a patron, you get access to these in-depth tips, and you get to learn about cool items to go after, and this was a cool one, and I'm very excited to see what happens with them. I'll show them to you one more time. Feel free to look them up on eBay, and you will see, like I said, the market's getting a little bit all over right now, which is going to happen, but yeah. If you're interested in getting one of these for yourself, feel free to send me a message. If you're a patron, I'll sell you one at cost as long as you plan to keep it. What else do we got going on? Yeah, guys, that's pretty much all of our news. Now, this week, I don't have any pickups. Like I said, my health, still dodgy, still recovering. But, I wanted to talk with everyone about one last thing before I got off the air this week, okay? And like I said, I know this is a little bit of a shorter show than you're used to. But, frankly, a whole lot didn't happen in the world of e-commerce this week. Generally, there's a pile of stories, and I'm doing my best to sift down on what I could talk about. But this week, there just wasn't that much. But I did hope to make those charts and make them viable and workable for you. This week was a challenging week. My resolve was certainly pressed to its limits. I wanted to talk with everyone on the topic of friendship. Last week, we talked about the importance of cleaning up some of the mistakes from your past. And it was a good talk. If you missed it, I recommend you go back and check out last week's show. But this week, let me even bring this in a little bit. This week, I wanted to talk about friendship. I have been having some struggles recently. And I've come to the conclusion that motivation may be one of the most important things to determine when you're talking with anyone. Everyone has motivation. Okay? Sometimes those motivations are selfless. Sometimes some of those motivations are selfish. Sometimes they're motivated by money, greed, lust, control, any number of things that can be the motivating factor for somebody. Now, before the show actually started, I talked about some of the changes that I'm making to the channel and the fact that we're really trying to go sponsor free. And part of that has to do with the fact that I was working with a brand for quite a long while, and I was working with them with the intent initially to help the brand be more successful and bring something that I felt could be very successful to everyone's table, and basically say, hey, look what we're making here, look what we're making happen. I think this is going to help out a lot of people. And things kind of went a bit sour, and sometimes you have a perception of people's motivations initially, and it's a very, very warm perception. And then when things change and you've made the decision that you no longer wish to help someone, even when you're polite and respectful about it, I think that's when you get a really good opportunity to learn a lot about a person. I mean, think about it, any type of breakup that you've ever had. You know, all the things that maybe they resented you for, all the things that they thought about but they never said to you before, that's when some of those things come out. And I even had my friendship challenged. And, I was sitting here in the back of my mind and I was thinking, it's like, if you really cared about me as a person and the direction that I was going with what I was doing, and you knew these things that were being said, and you knew these things that I could work on and improve, but you chose not to tell me, what was the motivation behind that? Was it for your gain? Was it for my gain? Was it the ability to have a snippet of power? And then I was even told that some of my work was garbage. It was really, really shocking to me. And I remember looking back and thinking, well, if my work was so bad, then why did you want to work with me? What was your advantage? What was your reasoning? So that's partly why I've made these decisions to no longer work with brands. And moving forward, after such great praise that we got for our last guest on, we had Leslie Hensel from Riverbend Consulting. We have a standalone interview that came out previous Wednesday, where we talk one-on-one about Amazon and consulting and business management and stuff to that effect. It was really, really well received. So our focus moving forward is to bring on high-quality guests that can bring information from outside of the traditional e-commerce world. Here next week, we're looking to have a discussion with Level Up Mushrooms. Now, I know that sounds like a wild brand and has nothing to do with eBay, Amazon, Posh, Mercari, etc., but it's somebody who's an expert in Shopify, somebody who's an expert in WooCommerce, somebody who's spent over $1 million in advertising on Facebook, and has built 3 brands from the ground up. Now, I personally don't know about you, but I am thrilled to be able to pick someone's brain who's had that level of success and be able to ask hard questions and get real answers. Be able to ask, what was your biggest failure as a brand over the last 10 years? What was your biggest takeaway? What was your biggest level of growth? What was the best partnership decision you made? What was one of the worst ones? And be able to learn some really, really interesting details from experts outside of our known field. Because if we can learn better ways to advertise, if we can learn better ways to create a private brand, private label, be more of what we really want to be, I think everyone's going to become smarter because of it. Roger or Key Webco says, I know them. Yeah. And if you've seen their social media work, it's absolutely fantastic. They're doing something very, very unique right now, and they're kind of worth looking into, to be honest. But we're having them on, and all of the guests that we're looking to bring on here in the future, we're not going to be generating revenue from. We're not going to be doing affiliate deals. We're not going to have sponsored links in the description. We're not going to make a penny off of it. We just want smart people to come on air and talk with us about how they became successful, how they made it happen, and all of us grow smarter together, which is why we started this in the beginning. So I guess, coming full circle, understand your motivations for doing what you're doing. I did this in the beginning because I just wanted to help people, and I got busy helping a couple of brands, and that wasn't necessarily my intent, but I just wanted to be a good person, and I wanted to help somebody, and I ended up doing a lot more work than I really wanted to help one person, when I had initially set out to help all of you, the hundreds of you that watch now. And hopefully someday I'll be able to say thousands of you that watch now. That was my goal in the beginning, and that's what I'm going back to. And I was persecuted for it too. I was told about all the money that I was going to be leaving behind. And I canceled all the arrangements too. I won't be receiving future commissions. Okay? I refused them. Okay? The reason I'm here is to help you guys. So that's what we're going to keep doing. That's what we're going to focus on. I think we're going to have a good time of it too. Guys, this has been the Sunday Reseller Roundup for, what is today? October 13th, 2019. Short and sweet, I must say, but yeah, it was fun. I appreciate you guys being here. If you have any questions that we missed out on, leave them in the comments below. If you're watching this in the future, hello, future you. Leave a comment down below. It really helps our videos get along. Leave us a like, subscribe to our videos, tell your friends and family all about us. Thank you so much for being here tonight, guys. This has been fun. I'll tell you what, just because you guys have been so nice, let's do this next Sunday too. Remember, guys, if you don't make that money, someone else will. Have a great night.